low key.
Shut the hell up! Shut up! Shut up!
Please, Kelly, don't pair me or compare me. Unless the said party is a rare breed. The stories I hear, they tend to mirror me. At this point now, rap is only therapy.
But before you dislike this video, you probably already did just after reading that title, let's shout out the sponsors of this video, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app that gets all the prices from all over the web and puts them into one app so you can find the best deals for whatever event you want to go to. The best deals are marked with green while the bad ones are marked with red. You can even see what your seat looks like before you go, and you can use the code BSouls for $20 off your first purchase. I used that to go to the Celtics versus Pistons game, and SeatGeek made the whole process really easy, so go ahead and check the description to learn more. Okay, but going back to the topic of the video, after watching Kobe's jersey retirement game, whatever you want to call it, and my whole timeline on social media reminding me of all the great moments and memories that Kobe Bryant gave us, it really got me thinking about how good Kobe's career really was. Now, it's definitely not the perfect career that someone like Jordan had, going 6 for 6 and all of that, but man, it was a damn great career filled with great moments. But while I was going through all these precious moments that Kobe gave us, if you were on social media at all that day, you probably saw one person or two, maybe a couple, calling Kobe, or at least, inferring the fact that Kobe Bryant was overrated. Y'all knew what y'all were seeing. Come on now. Kobe was a shot chucker, inefficient, got carried by Kobe, just a failed MJ. And while I don't agree with those statements at all, let me first start off by saying, to a degree, Kobe can be overrated at times. When it comes to Kobe, I really don't think there's an in-between consensus with the basketball community. Either you overrate him or you underrate him. There's no in between. And I do get why some people say Kobe's overrated. When you got people telling me at all that he's the second greatest of all time because he's the closest thing to Michael Jordan, I mean, come on now. The fact that that logic even exists is a testament to that argument. And when people say he's better than this player or that player, especially LeBron, solely because of rings, then yes, I do think he's overrated in that sense. But on the flip side, I've been hearing more Kobe slander now than I ever had personally. And some of it, to me, is just wrong. What I'm about to say right now is basically, or has been basically, my theme this whole month when it comes to my videos. Stats with context. Basketball is simply more than just reading and listing off numbers and telling me which one is greater than the other. This game is too complex to be analyzed that way. And when people say Kobe's inefficient, to me it just shows that to some people, just because one is better than the other automatically means that the other is trash in that category we're talking about. Not everyone does this, but I see it way more than I need to. Like, when people say Kobe's inefficient, they're either looking at his last years in the league, his career stats, his first years in the league, or comparing him to some of the guys in the top 10. And to me, this is just so disrespectful to Kobe. Because taking the first 2 years of his career, where Kobe was an 18, 19-year-old kid that was really just a role player, and his last 3 years in the league, where he really was just a shell of himself due to injuries. Essentially, when Kobe was Kobe, in that time period, he averaged 27 points on 46% shooting from the field. Because when people bring up the efficiency point, they're not using it to talk about his last years in the league. They don't talk about it to talk about his first years in the league. They use this inefficiency argument to talk about the prime of his career, using his career stats when we know damn well his first years and his last years in the league really affected that stat specifically. Now, yeah, compared to the all-time great big men who shot 80% of their shots in the paint, or to guys like LeBron, Bird, Jordan, and Magic who shot sub 50% their whole career, sometimes better, than yeah, it probably is the least efficient. But that should only add to the greatness of those other guys, the Larry Birds and the LeBrons, and that shouldn't take away from the greatness of Kobe Bryant. It's unfair to say that Kobe was only a good scorer because he shot a lot. He did shoot a lot, but that wasn't the only reason he was a good scorer. Because you got a guy right now in James Harden who's been a 26 plus point per game scorer for 6 years now that hasn't even touched 46% from the field. Yeah, I don't hear anything about James Harden being inefficient as much as I do about Kobe. You got guys like Melo, who at the same time was considered a pretty efficient scorer. He also shot around 46% for the good bulk of his career, you know, taking away the last couple years of his career. You know, the Denver days and the early Knicks days, he was shooting 46% most of those years. T-Mac in his prime, when he was one of the best guards in the league, he was shooting 44%. Allen Iverson, 43%. If we want to talk about another era, Dominique Wilkins, 47%. I can keep going, but to me personally, for the part of Kobe's career we remember him for the most, the part of his career that we compare to the likes of a LeBron James and a Michael Jordan and a Magic Johnson and a Shaquille O'Neal, while he's less efficient than these guys, I don't think he was inefficient at all. At all. And the argument that Kobe was carried by Shaquille O'Neal. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, Shaquille O'Neal would have been a champion in 2000 with or without Kobe. Saying Shaq carried Kobe that year is completely valid. That dude Kobe was averaging 15 points on 35% shooting from the field. But after that, look, Kobe wasn't the best player on his team, but please, let's not act like Kobe Bryant did not earn those rings. Those rings weren't just David West, I'ma play on the bench of the Golden State Warriors rings. Those rings were won with Kobe averaging 25 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal and a block per game in those finals. With Kobe averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal and a half, and a block, shooting 50% from the field. Those rings right there were rightfully earned. In the same way LeBron winning in Cleveland would have been worth like 2 rings a couple years ago to some people, Kobe winning without Shaq in 09 back then was the same thing. But people just forgot about that now because all we're doing right now, we're just looking at numbers on a screen. Look, here's my thing. I just think in today's age, we just get so caught up in efficiency and numbers and comparing this guy to that guy and ranking players that when we look at these numbers and statistics on paper, we tend to either diminish a player's accomplishments or overrate them. And in the case of Kobe Bryant, while there are those who overrate him, like I said earlier, I see more people now, if anything, underrating Kobe because he's basically labeled right now as an inefficient poor man's MJ. But with that being said, I want to let y'all know that the first episode of the Dish podcast, the podcast that me, Dom, and SDC are starting up, is now up on iTunes and, you know, really everywhere. And I'm gonna put the link in the comment section and in the description for the first episode so you can watch.
They ain't making the playoffs. Listen, bro, we just gotta hit that wave, man. We just gotta hit that. Listen, you seen the Cavs hit it.
After that, you got a huge wave.
The Clippers went on an 8-game losing streak and they still have a better record.
It ain't over, bro. It ain't over.
And I'm gonna be making the community post tomorrow talking more in depth about the whole podcast and where to watch it and when the scheduling is gonna be. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video and I am out. Peace.